Hello everyone, my name is Chris Lehman. I'm from the Heal Mind, Body and Soul Facebook group page, and today is one of the most important topics anybody could ever touch on. It is going to be about glyphosate. So hopefully I can say it right throughout the rest of the video. Glyphosate is one of the most damning, most fearing, most regularly used chemicals on this planet, and it is affecting every single one of you. So if you ever watch one of my videos or skim past my videos, I hope that you watch this one and stay with me, because it's going to be extremely beneficial for not only yourself but your loved ones, your kids, and even the kids that are not born yet. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a good day, and I'm going to jump right in. So what is glyphosate? It is a chemical that is sprayed onto plants in our soil. It is to try to kill off weeds, and what it's doing is actually killing us off, and that's a fact. And I watched an interview with Don Huber, excellent gentleman, older gentleman. He was served our country. He's a vet. He understands science greater than I can explain on this video. And what I am is a research buff. So I'm not going to make this video. I watched his interview weeks ago, and I've been kind of researching, and not kind of, a lot of research, and figure out if his stats were right, because I was trying to find opposition to him. And what I found was a stronger evidence of what he was saying and more. So it's just very, very scary stuff. So glyphosate, what is it and what is it found in? Well, I'll touch on what it's found in, and then I'm going to go into the effects that it has on every single one of us, how you can avoid it, and what it's going to do long term to our population, and what it's actually doing right now. So it is found in things like almonds, it's found in carrots, it's found in soy, it's found in oats and corn. But the biggest thing it's actually found in meat, it's found in our rainwater, it is found in wheat, and that is the biggest one, which I'm going to kind of link the celiac disease link celiac disease into this. So if you suffer from celiac or have a reaction to gluten, this is going to, I think, really help you, because we're finding out from research that it's actually the glyphosate, man, what's wrong with me? That's actually causing a lot of these issues, and not just the wheat or the gluten from it. So there's many things that this is in, but what does it cause? Well, we know from science that glyphosate causes 27 different kinds of cancers. 27. It inhibits 27 different types of cancers. We saw Roundup sued for more money than any other lawsuit in the history of this country, over $8 billion. We also know that Bayer, the maker of Cipro and other poisonous drugs, bought Roundup, which glyphosate is the main ingredient in, which has a lot of terrible ingredients, but glyphosate is one of the main ones. And we know that it's sprayed on our crops. And according to Don Huber, and I'll go into his research first, you can't wash. It's not like you can just wash this out. Once it's embedded into the plant, into the crop, it is in there. Not only is it in there, but it's also transferred. So you can't just wash this out and think, oh, well, I wash my vegetables, I wash my food, it's fine. No, it's in there, and it is being consumed, and it's going into your gut microbiome, and it's destroying everything in your gut microbiome, which is why we see so many people have things like H. pylori or irritable bowel syndrome, and many other things. So glyphosate was founded in 1974. It's been used more and more and more. I'm going to post a chart, but as the glyphosate use went up, so did celiac disease, so did cancer rates, so did Alzheimer's rates, MS rates. And all of these things, from studies from mice to studies on humans, have been found that glyphosate is a major component in the inhibition of all of these things. So moving into celiac, we know that gluten intolerance has become such a huge topic, right, over the past decade. Well, the more research that's done, it seems more and more people are just having a reaction to the glyphosate and not so much to the gluten. But because it's such heavily compounded with the glyphosate on there, it is causing gluten intolerance. But the glyphosate intolerance is really what we need to look at. So, how do we avoid this if it's in everything? Well, you need to eat organic, and organic is expensive. And it sucks that we have to spend so much money to just eat what naturally should be our crops, our food, our meat, our water. Don Huber explained that the glyphosate that was sprayed, and this is I'm going to get into some scary stuff here. It is stuck in our soil from anywhere from 2 years to 22 years. Don Huber was explaining that it was 20 years. I did more research and found that, it could be anywhere between that, where they found the levels of glyphosate. But we know that it stays in the soil. So even if you were to recrop and replant and do all these things, an entire generation is infected by this. And we know it, and we continue to use it for money. There was a $1 billion lawsuit given to 2 people. Why? Because we know that glyphosate has been shown, and this is the scariest fact, glyphosate is shown that it is passed from mother to newborn. It is in cord blood. How scary is that? I mean, it doesn't get much scarier than that, right? So, which leads into my own research, which I'll get back to Don Huber's research in a minute, but 43% of U.S. children, actually it's 54% if you add in obesity, have a chronic illness. 54% of children. That's anything from autism to asthma to obesity to cancer. 19% of all newborns, or of all children, need a specialist, need a doctor who is a specialist to treat them. So not a family doctor, but a specialist, because their conditions are chronic and causing life-changing disease or issues that they need a specialist to perform being their doctor. So that's to start off. So what does glyphosate do? And I kind of touched on that, but what I want to do is go into a little bit of Don Huber's research and then kind of jump into mine. So Huber explained that it was released in 1974. He thinks that in 10 to 12 years, we're going to have the biggest die-off that this country's ever seen. It's going to be as bad as the Black Plague. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. So my job is to just spread what I do know. But why he thinks so is because it's going to cause it's actually proven that it's causing a prion protein development in the brain. So when this happens, when the prion proteins clump in the brain, it causes chronic disease. It causes inability to walk. It causes many issues, Alzheimer's, things like that. And one of the things that it does, so it basically shuts down your brain chemistry, and which also shuts down your vagus nerve. So if you know what your vagus nerve is, it is the most important nerve for your parasympathetic nervous system, which is what controls your sleeping, your ability to cope with stress, which is why we find more and more people having anxiety and stress. And it could all become, not all of it, obviously there's many factors, but glyphosate could be an issue, a major issue of this. So if you're suffering from any of this stuff, I highly suggest you cut out glyphosate from your diet, and it is going to be extremely difficult to do. All right, so from my research, so I did a bunch of independent research on this, and just low levels of glyphosate can cause liver and kidney disease, which we see more rampant than ever, cancers, gut microbiome, things like H. pylori and gastric cancers, which are on the rise. And a big thing that it does is the shikama pathways are completely infected by this. So if you don't know what that is, which I really had to do some research into that, but it's the EPS-PS enzyme, and it's basically the 7-step pathway that makes your amino acids function throughout your body. Okay, so it is one of the most important pathways we have, and this glyphosate is showing that studies have shown that the glyphosate is basically shutting these pathways down, and which is causing many chronic diseases. Okay, so the gut flora, like I explained, the gut, you talk to any functional medicine doctor or any good doctor, they're going to tell you the first thing you need to do is heal your gut, right? So it just shows the gut brain correlation. It affects your nervous system. It affects everything. So if your gut flora is being damaged, it's going to cause things like arthritis. It's going to cause autism, which we're going to get into in a second. It's going to cause diabetes, fibro, different chronic diseases that are not easy, or you may never cure them, right? And it's scary. And one thing that Don Huber was explaining was that we are at a 30-year low for population rate. And what this glyphosate is doing to our reproduction system. So that's another thing highly affected by that. And if you look at it, not only are we at a 30-year low, but major things are happening. Like he explained, 70% of our people volunteering to go into the military are now denied because of chronic issues. 70%. And for me, the biggest thing was knowing that it's in our rainwater and our cord blood, because that's just showing that this is being passed down from generation to generation. It's staying in our soil, it's staying in our foods. We can't wash this off. And if companies are paying out $8 billion worth of lawsuits, and it's still on the market, which means they're still making money off of it, it just shows that it is in everything. Okay. Now, being the fertility rate being so low, in 2017, we had 2.8 million deaths, which is 70,000 death increase from 2017. But yet our birth rate is at a 30-year low. And as Huber explains, that we need a certain population rate to continue the earth running properly, basically. I'm not going to get into all that. It's too much for this. It's actually probably too much for me. And so, but what we're doing is we're depopulating the earth, which I actually thought we were overpopulated until I did all this research, and we need enough people to keep the earth turning. All right. I know that is a very just, easy way to look at it, but you can do research if you want on that. But here's one that I found. So the United States, so there's many countries that have already committed, either in the near future within the next year or two, or many countries that have already gotten rid of glyphosates. Okay, so most countries actually. Europe and the United States continue to use them, but the United States ranks 37th in life expectancy. 37th. We're between Lebanon and Cuba for life expectancy. Chile has a better life expectancy than us, and we're supposed to be this country of wealth, this country of medicine, right? And there's many factors. There could be many factors more than just food, like our pharmaceuticals, our daily living, and things like that. But to rank 37th in the world in life expectancy is insane. And why? Because things like glyphosate are kept on the market for money. A lot of what happens in this country is for money, and it's sad. So we know, just kind of summing up, we know from, this isn't just me spewing this is from scientific research papers, this is from scientists, this is from doctors, that glyphosate causes cancer. We see it in the lawsuits. We know that much 100%. We know that it's passed down. We know that it's in our soil. We know that it's contaminating almost every single one of our foods. So why are we keeping it on the market? Why are we still eating it? There's a lot of places in California that have completely made it illegal to have glyphosate in any of their crops. Where I live in Illinois, there's a couple of cities that have banned glyphosate. So I really hope that you spread the word on this, because it's going to affect our children, it's going to affect our grandchildren, and it's going to affect you and me and everybody. So please spread the word on this. Glyphosate needs to be taken off of the market. It needs to go. And our birth rates are down horribly. Our chronic pain is way up. Right? Our chronic diseases are way up. Our kids are sicker. More and more people are being told no from the military. It is in cord blood. It is transferring from mother to baby, and it's one of those things that when it's all said and done, I truly feel it's going to be one of the. We're going to look back in 50 years, 100 years, and say that was worse than mercury, right? That was worse than all these other things that you look back on. Wait, you put that in the house? You put that in your thermometer? And glyphosate's going to be that thing that is like, wow. Millions of people were chronically ill, picked up things like cancers, like Alzheimer's, like MS, because of this. And I don't want to see that. I don't want you to go down that path. So hopefully you learned something from this. Thank you so much for watching. And, just keep spreading the word, and heal. And love you guys.